Well, hello everybody. I know it takes a few minutes to let people log on. On my way to the airport, back out east, and I get to see my little Tina very soon. I miss her very much. But I want to do this video on Russia and Ukraine as it is today, what we're going to see on the 7th day. Russia has a 3-mile long convoy to surround the city of Kiev. In its historical roots, there is a river that runs through it. One side, the Kiev side, is predominantly Ukraine-speaking citizens. The other side, Russian-speaking citizens, predominantly. All media only focuses absolutely on only the predominantly Ukrainian-speaking citizens and territories. You will find, according to maps found in all media, as it plays out, only the Russian-speaking half is what Russia's doing. This was announced in the parliament, passed, put forward by one Vladimir Putin. He has no choice but to follow the people of Russia. It's not him as a dictator, as the West says. It's him as what all Russians want to see, just like Crimea. We all saw what happened there. Very little resistance. This war for what is Western Ukraine, as it was from George H. Bush, which is predominantly Russian-speaking citizens that no media is interviewing, no media is talking to. This goes beyond Donbass. I've published for everybody the maps over and over again. You can read Britannica in Real History of Ukraine, from its history with Belarus, Russia, and Ukraine. All one empire, ladies and gentlemen. You're being fooled, misled. We can look at the Vikings, the rule over Kiev, what happened to Ukraine during the period of the Vikings. We can then go on to the Mongols, who eradicated Kiev nearly from the face of the earth, down to 200 residential houses. That's what became of it during the Mongol invasion in history. Then we can look at the Russian Empire. People get fed what they're told. It's one-sided. It's all about the East versus West. A river runs through it, literally. Russia's not invading eastern Ukraine. Are they going to surround Kiev? And in diplomatic talks right now, where the President Zelensky must make a choice. Honor the Minsk agreements, meaning give absolute autonomy. I know in Canada this is a foreign concept. I know that Canadians could never understand the need for provincial constitutions, cementing the division of powers for and by the people. I get that that's only American, and even we see the lunatic Democrat under Joe Biden ignoring all real democracy, selling a lie with the major media companies, a one-sided story of a very highly centralized Ukraine that is nowhere near anything like USA, not even close. It is a wrong foreign policy for any president to go forward outside of federalism. It was wrong then, and it's wrong today. It was wrong when George Bush had done it, to kick Russia while it was down and basically take a hot crap all over real federalism. Russia is federalist, not exactly like USA, but very close, contrary to what everyone wants to tell you. Autonomy, sovereignty, self-government, these are things they can get in the Russian Federation, a division of powers, just like the 50 states of the USA. Nobody wants you to know this. They want you to embrace Unitarianism. They want you to embrace centralization. Of all regions in Canada, how has that benefited Alberta? The truth is it hasn't. It hasn't benefited Saskatchewan, most of Manitoba, and northern BC. Quebec doesn't want to lose its French-speaking status, its own cultural identity. The poor First Peoples have been subject to being basically low-level municipalities, absent of federalism, something they invented They're the reason the Iroquois Confederacy is the reason for the 13 colonies. It's how it came to be. There would be no United States of America if it wasn't for the First Peoples and their political structure system adopted by the 13 colonies, which would lead to the 50 states which are America. It is why Canada embraced a limited federalism. When I say limited, because they give the autocracy to the crown, no constitutions, no we the people, and absolutely those First People removed in Canada from all forms of federalism, subject to central Ottawa, not able to collect their own taxes, never able to create meaningful municipalities, always to be the savage Indian, never to have anything, never ever be a real peoples. This is the evil that's Canada. It's the evil which is the narrative of the western half of Ukraine, which doesn't work for those majority Russian-speaking peoples who have only ever known federalism. It is the Donbass. It is most of them, folks. You can't take away a people's cultural identity. You can't take away their history over thousands of years, and you can't take away their language. That is what happened since George H. Bush, and now Joe Biden picks up the torch to carry on as George H. Bush, all for his own presidential needs, a lie to all Americans, anti-constitutional, anti-American, absolutely against what America is and all the 50 states of America. This education will come forward whether people like it or not. All historians can't hide it. They may not publish, they may not speak out of fear, but the reality's there. And for anyone doubting it, read Britannica. That's the UK. In all of Kiev's history, learn the truth, folks. The properties have changed many times. Poland's been robbed. Germany's been robbed. We've made settlements over and over in many wars. Europe has always been ravenous. Learn the truth. Stop following Western narratives. They're absolutely for the wealthy elite, for first-class politicians who fill their fat pockets while all of you starve, all of you face high inflation and coming on super interest rates. They're cashing in the chips. They're going to all get wealthy while you all go to the poorhouse. Distract them with a war that has nothing to do with us, and in fact is against everything that is our principles that we're supposed to believe in. Don't hate Quebec. Don't hate Alberta. Don't hate Saskatchewan and Manitoba. Cultural identity is important. Federalism is what gives nations their size and strength. At least real federalism. Something foreign to Canada, now foreign to Ukraine, and those they subject who speak Russian. You're not getting any narrative east of Kiev, none whatsoever. Anything that's predominantly Russian, you don't hear a lick about it in the news. You don't hear from those citizens. They're not even allowed to be polled, as stated by the UK. The UK government confirms, BBC News confirms, no Russian-speaking citizen in those regions in the west portion of Ukraine that is under siege right now is allowed to enter any polls, especially not Donbass or any of those republics ruled by Russia and the parliament. And so everybody understands the UNSCP-5 Russia, when they gave those republics credibility, they can go underneath the Russian Federation's UNSCP-5 power, cement their regional constitutionalism. They don't need to be a UN state. Russia gets to be their UN state. They get to have constitutionalism backed up in the Russian Federation. Absolute for all the other 84. And that's what they want. They want to be federalist. They want to have their sovereignty, self-government, self-determination. They don't want an equalization program like what Alberta has to pay to the rest of Canada. Though Donbass doesn't want to do that anymore. They don't want to feed the corruption that is Ukraine. A corruption that is worldwide. Every major country says, oh, it's one of the highest corrupt countries in the world. Somehow Canada doesn't rank on that list because their constitution says that's not corruption in Canada. But yet, according to the world, Ukraine is corrupt on the same wealth transfer, just not as much. Albertans don't have a say. Saskatchewan doesn't have a say. Northern BC has no say. Most of Manitoba has no say. All citizens are not created equal, just as what's happening in Ukraine. Russia gave Ukraine a way out. Right now they're in talks. And tomorrow, on the 7th day, Russia will have surrounded Kiev, and there's nothing anyone can do about it. Submit or be leveled. And they've done it before, and if the world tries to fight Russia, Russia's ready to go to nuclear arms. That's how serious this is. The Russian people want the federalism re-implemented in the Russian-speaking portions of what is Western Ukraine. Kiev can walk away with the Eastern Ukraine, and Russia will be fine with that. They could have even kept all of Western Ukraine. All they had to do was give them federalism, regional constitutionalism, defined under the Minsk agreements. They don't want to do it. They want pure centralization, which the last time I checked is purely against everything that makes America what it is, and it's in gross violation of the American people. Thanks. That's my video. Canada, not so much. We love the centralization, extreme dictatorship. Just as Donald Trump and many of the Republicans are saying about Canada, that is 100% true. It has been the fight of my political life and career. It's why I created the Alberta Independence Party, and it's now why I'm creating the next narrative for how to fix Canada. I'm happy Putin's following that. I'm happy he's using his P5 power. It's too bad, it's a tragedy that autocratic regimes will hold their power at all expense of all citizens, and citizens aren't smart enough to understand. But they'll find out. The world will find out. That's my video. Thanks everybody. Share, share, share. And soon I'll be home in Hamilton, Ontario with Tina. Love you, Tina. Bye now.